I'm not. She does.
I know Lisa Bird. I've met Tina Steve.
I don't know who her teacher is. Let me hug
This is
Hi, can we get a picture of you? Oh, all right, we just did come out.
He's not coming.
I don't have a fear of flying. It's an exciting day.
No, he's coming. I was like, look, this is basically another graduation. Yeah, so I was like, he's hanging with Kendall and my dad. Oh, yeah, they're all sitting. They were like, I was short one ticket, and you're like, well, we're short one, we're all not going.
Right.
Once one got to sit out, they were all like,
You have it? Prove it. Unless you ate it. For being, that's how you sure I was. That's
you know, I was thinking the other thing
for me at first.
Like for a quick to the product.
Where Hannah's mom, where Hannah's I'm changing shoes and I'm going comfortable. So this one is like very
I said I would be aggressive. I would do it.
right. She told me, gave me pick one of these, Mom. I was like, okay.
I went to the George.
Oh, isn't that nice? That's where we did her 21st birthday. Yes.
Look at the area.
This is it. You can watch the beginning of it right here.
Angie's so she has made the best friends. I think very much.
So a lot of them, they don't have to talk like that. Like the deer. Because they get their undergrad. So there's a in the school here. So they had their. So the ones that we're not sure other things. We're talking.
Smart, very smart. Bring duck in the fall. Yeah, get her ring, not her duck. What do we? Yeah. You do. That's right, but you want to get your. Get your turn. You see, my
So they have a dog too. So
she had the black lab. We brought Zeke.
they brought him back to see. And so they wasn't really like playing that much, but I've never seen him so excited. I think he was super qualified for the place. He was like, what am I supposed to do?
So just so y'all know, This is in my tablet, it's like, because Danny
Driving up and down the stairs at night. That's the thing with you.
You stay downstairs.
Right, so I go see. I mean, I walk.
Dogs. I see the dog.
look at the he's
It's like, yeah,
I mean, when that's done, he said, he blocks them all away from me. And that's what I'm saying. They didn't ask. You didn't show up. Hi, Kristen. Nice to meet you.
Yes, yes. I'm trying to check on her.
Oh, the chemical engineer. I heard about that.
And dogs that come from the same. Yes, we are. Yes. So have you met Lola?
You would.
I've seen her.
You have hair all over you. Eric Mason. Eric
I'm happy.
Oh, yeah, we brought ours too.
We're in the city, like halfway between Houston and Galveston. With everything going on in the weather and time. Yeah.
And that's why.
I just Evan.
I didn't know. What grade are you? You're.
Now he's a sophomore.
Yes.
My sister decided to stay in my apartment. And so this.
I didn't want to come when I graduated either.
Yeah, so she's here as well. And I was short one ticket. I'll take it. And my boyfriend was like, well,
Well, I guess y'all.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I guess people want to pass.
Yeah.
Like,
Right before, like during graduation, he said the work
I'll go right around.
Yeah, just like, it was like just part of your graduation, you know?
I mean, I'm in Northwest.
It's like, do I, I'm gonna go ahead and ask anyway, I guess, or say, I guess, like, what is it? I don't know. Like, well, yeah, whatever it is, like, I don't know.
I don't know, like, I
Like they road tripped it. They went back. They went
yeah.
It's like 6 hours each way. 6 hours.
And then just like,
Make the hashtag one, capital T.
Yeah, no, I agree.
that's the only reason why.
Yeah. He's going to keep doing that. Senior professor. Yeah. I see his car in the parking lot. Every day. Yeah. They see
I'll pay this way. We don't start that crap. I get stuck. Try to sit two.
It's okay.
I don't know.
Make sure I'm muted.
Okay. Yeah, I have to do that.
All by myself.
Okay. All right, I will be the only.
It's like some sort of fire.
Yeah.
My cousin's graduation.
Roy, I can't talk.
Literally it's just. Gotta read. Yeah. I never realized your name. Really the double.
Even found this.
Please bow your head and pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we invite you here to bless and honor this occasion. As we are gathered here in joyous and loving company, let us not forget the blessings you have bestowed upon us. For this university, which has given us a family and a network that we will remain in until our name is called at muster. For this college, which has provided us a place of learning, growth, and hope. And for this program, which has provided us knowledge of ourselves and a community within our cohort. We remember the impact made by each and every teacher, professor, mentor, and peer who challenged us and stood beside us as we experienced the highs and lows. We honor our families and loved ones who loved us, supported us, and cheered us on to achieve this academic distinction. For all of the laughs, learning, and relationships made, I ask you to bless those going into their careers. Give them a sense of what is right and what is good. For those who are still unsure, I ask you to bring peace and protect their hearts with the knowledge that you have a plan for them. Let us keep your gracious, kind, and unwavering love with us as we step into the next phase of our lives. May you bless the MS Marketing class of 2021. In your name I pray, amen.
It is tremendously humbling to be standing here before classmates, family, faculty, and mentors on such a special day. I want to sincerely recognize and thank everyone who is present today, as you have each undeniably played a part in the accomplishments of each Texas A&M Master's graduate here today. In addition to my sincere gratitude, today has also prompted me to reflect on this past year, the associated experiences, and what I have learned beyond what was covered through our coursework. For as long as I can remember, reading has been one of my most cherished pastimes. I loved escaping to worlds of dynamic heroines and powerful heroes. The narrations of these powerful stories mapped out through various chapters has always intrigued me and allowed my imagination avenues to run wild. But beyond the escape or the grand tales that were told, venturing into each new story was a lens for me to find parallels in my own life. In fact, in many ways, when I have looked to both my past or my future, I've often found myself mapping things out in chapters. The prologue of my story features a happy couple who would meet right here at Texas A&M, followed by several chapters of a lively childhood, the turbulent teenage phase, and the navigation of the college years. And just as easily as I can look to my past in chapters, I've spent countless hours carefully placing my future dreams into their own respective chapters as well. In doing so, much of my life has been either retroactively or preemptively placed within parameters of expectation and aspiration. I think in many ways we can all relate to this sentiment that is furthered by platitudes such as, here's to a new chapter, or turning the page on a new adventure. I know this is certainly the case or way of thinking for many of us here today when we think about first beginning this program, a fresh start, a new beginning, a pit stop on the road to success or future ambitions. However, as I reflect on this past year in the MS Marketing program and the chapter that I've always compared it to, there are many noticeable changes, challenges, and obstacles. Nobody could have written or predicted the chapter of life that myself and the cohort of students that sit in the room have experienced. So many pivotal moments in each of our respective stories were rewritten or erased completely. The classic tales of sitting in a classroom as we are today or sharing a meal turned into seeing small faces in rectangles on Zoom and maintaining a 6-foot distance from one another. And while it is certainly easy to read through this story and classify it as an unfortunate one, I choose instead to think about the new characters that I have met and how they have each left an indelible mark on my life. Because this past year in the MS Marketing program wasn't just yet another chapter in my own personal story. Rather, this story belongs to each and every one of us. This was our collective story, and an incredibly unique and indescribable one at that. You see, I couldn't think about my story in this program and reflect on the countless group projects without also thinking about the teammates who I worked with through consulting, branding, or our rolling summer courses. Each of our individual stories through this program have been interwoven into a beautiful chapter in each of our own lives. And while it is undeniable that this chapter has contained both personal struggles and challenges for each of us, I think to the words of one of my favorite authors, Bob Goff, when he says to embrace uncertainty, as some of the most beautiful chapters in life will not have a title until much later. This program and this chapter has certainly contained its fair share of uncertainty, and this time will be uniquely defined or titled by us all. But on this special day, I define the title of this chapter to be Collective Perseverance. I've stood, sat, or Zoomed alongside each of you as we have ventured to this moment through late nights, countless projects, challenging material, and unique challenges. But nevertheless, we have collectively persevered together. I'm immensely proud of the experiences, memories, laughs, hardships, and obstacles that we have all undertaken together. And I look to this room and see powerful heroines and heroes of their own respective stories, whose accomplishments and endeavors are sure to be exceptional. And just like a great book, to take our next step, we must simply turn the page. Thank you and congratulations to the MS Marketing class of 2020.
Howdy.
Howdy.
It is absolutely wonderful to see a full house. This last year, I walked past this room a couple of times. My colleagues teaching here, and I would probably see maybe 4, 5, 6 students. Everybody else is on Zoom, so this is just absolutely wonderful. My name is Manjeet Yadav. I'm the department chair of the Department of Marketing, and it's my pleasure to bring greetings from my colleagues. And also to congratulate the new class that will be graduating. I saw there were 43 students who are graduating.
Oh.
Is that, who's
Zoom
that?
issues.
Somebody on Zoom. Well, hello. Yes, I think as I was saying, I think there's 43 students, I believe. I think that Lisa said is graduating. It's wonderful. So besides congratulating the class, first of all, I want to sort of thank my colleague, and also the director of the MS program, Lisa Burton, and her able colleague, new colleague, Shayla Clifton, I think, who's busy at the screen. So please join me in thanking them, I think, for putting together a wonderful program for us. I also would like to thank my colleague and associate department head, Janet Parrish, who's actively been involved in all aspects, I think, of the MS program. Some of our colleagues, I think, probably would have joined more, I think, as we're making this transition back to sort of the post-COVID, but I do see one of my colleagues, Chuck Howard, in the back. Dr. Howard. Yeah. Thank you, I think, for joining us. This is my third decade at Texas A&M. 30 years have gone by. So whenever I come to events like this, I sort of really have, I first of all enjoyed them so much. So I have 3 daughters, we are empty nesters, my youngest one graduated from college. And I've gone to events like this, very much like this, I think, over the years, and I have enjoyed it very much as a parent. So all the parents and grandparents and all the loved ones over here, I know exactly how you feel. I think it's such an important milestone in our children's lives. I think being able to celebrate that milestone is a very, very special moment. But over the last few days, I've also reflected on what an event like this means to me as a faculty member. I think that's what I want to just take a minute and just sort of share with you my thoughts on the significance of an event like this. So when we are graduating, so it is an ending, and it's also a beginning. We know that, we're beginning new careers, new passions, new interests, and so forth. But it is also the closing of a chapter. I think so. It's absolutely sort of mixed feelings. But one of the reasons why, as a faculty member, I really feel this is a significant moment in a university's life is because it symbolizes something that is truly central to what makes universities so special. And that is the notion, the idea of renewal. So we have 43 students graduating. They have worked really hard. They have earned this degree. And very soon thereafter, they will be replaced with a new group, I think, of students who will be sitting in these chairs, who will be sitting through our classrooms. And that's how universities as an academic institution gets renewed. And the idea of renewal is something that for the graduating class, I think that's what I just want to emphasize. So as I reflected on my own career, a commitment to constant renewal is absolutely central to success in our lives. And the renewal can take a variety of forms. First of all, I think a professional renewal. No matter how hard we have worked, I think to give you all the tools and ideas to be successful, I can tell you they will not be sufficient for long-term success. Hopefully they'll be good for 5 years, 10 years, hopefully. But you will have to keep reinvesting, renewing the skills. I think that my colleagues and I have worked really hard to share with you in our classes. But besides professional renewal, I would also emphasize, perhaps even more, the absolute imperative nature of personal renewal. As you start working on your careers and your lives, and you're successful, and I know many of you are going to achieve great heights professionally, and we'll be so proud of that. But it's absolutely essential that as you become successful, you think about yourself as a human being, as a person. What can you do for others? What can you do for yourself, for your family? And how can you keep renewing what makes you who you are? So the importance of committing yourself to constant renewal, both personally and professionally, is going to be, I thought it was my phone running. for a moment. So the personal and the professional commitment to renewal is something that I would just leave as thought, I think, with you. And lastly, but I would like to emphasize, I love to see, my colleagues and I love to see students who come back and see us. I can tell you that is certainly one of the highlights, I think, of my career here, where somebody stops by my office and says, Dr. Yadav, you probably don't remember me, and I get these visits and emails all the time. But I was in your class 15 years ago. I'm in Dallas. I'm doing really well. I'm going to be on campus. Maybe I can come and see you. It makes me very happy when I get emails like this, and I speak for many of my colleagues. So as you go through your successful journeys, I would absolutely welcome a revisit. Come back to Aggieland, I think, as you travel your professional and personal journeys. So again, congratulations very much, and thank you for all the parents, to the parents and grandparents and loved ones for making the time to join the celebration. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jayla Hall, and I have the pleasure of introducing our commencement speaker, Mr. Hans George. Mr. George retired from Nike after 24 years in product creation, product merchandising. In his last role as Vice President of Global SOX Product Creation, Mr. George led a team of 50+ people across product management, design, and development to create SOX for athletes and consumers. Mr. George holds a BBA in marketing from Texas A&M University and was a leader in Alpha Kappa Psi Business Fraternity, as well as a member of CBA Fellows at Mace Business School. Upon graduation, he spent 2 years in New Markets at the Dallas office. After earning his MBA from the University of Texas, he spent 1 year at Kraft Foods at the Chicago area headquarters. Before his first role at Nike in 1996 as assistant product manager for NCAA NBA apparel. Mr. George served on the board of directors for Taylor Swift Foundation and is a member of the University of Oregon Sports Product Management Advisory Board, as well as the MS Marketing Advisory Board at Mace Business. He resides in Portland, Oregon, and spends his spare time enjoying the Pacific Northwest and traveling the world with his wife Selena of 28 years and their 2 daughters, Laura and Larissa. Not only this, towards Andrew Foote, Ken Marcos, and myself. We truly appreciate the time and effort you have put forth to help us succeed. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Hans George.
Good man, though. Look around here.
Howdy.
Howdy.
All right, we're gonna have to try that one more time, okay? Howdy.
Howdy.
So where I'm from in the Pacific Northwest, we have a handful of Aggies. So usually when you say howdy up there, it sort of falls on deaf ears. So thanks for indulging me. Jalen, thank you for that kind introduction. Great job. And thank all of you for having me here today. It's a huge honor and a huge privilege. First word I'd like to say actually is congratulations. We can get it up on the screen there. But as that word comes up on the screen, first of all, congratulations for making it to today, for slogging through this last year and actually being in a big group like this, which for me, it's the first time in over a year I've been with this many people. So congratulations for making it through. I'd also like to just say congratulations to various groups in here. So first of all, to the parents and the friends and the family of the graduates who are here. Show of hands. A lot of you. Okay, that's amazing. I know it has to be an extremely, extremely proud moment to see your child graduating from the top-ranked Masters in Science Marketing program in the country from one of the finest institutions in the world here at Texas A&M. And for those of you who are finally finished with funding your child's advanced degree, congratulations for the raise you're about to receive today. Second, show of hands from faculty and staff. Handful over there. Congratulations to you all for everything you do and how rewarded you must feel to have shaped and molded the lives of young people and all the hard work you put into getting them where they have gotten to today. So congratulations to you as well. And finally, the reason we're all here, congratulations to the graduates themselves. You are part of one of the most star-crossed generations in recent history. You were born just a few years before 9/11. You grew up during the Great Recession. And you're leaving Texas A&M during the tail end of a global cataclysmic pandemic, which is largely under control in the US, but still raging out of control in other parts of the world. Throughout your life, then, perhaps without even knowing, you are more equipped to deal with uncertainty than any other cohort in modern history. In particular, the resilience and perseverance you've demonstrated over the last year, which Kaylee did a great job of bringing to life, with all those endless Zoom calls, and from what I'm told, one whole day of spring break, will serve you well when things invariably get tough in your adult lives. So as a collective group, you are all already distinct. But as individuals, what does it make you distinct? I suspect most of you at least know in theory what with all of the testing that you've been through, strengths finders, et cetera. Does that sound familiar? But most importantly, how do you maintain and amplify that distinctiveness in a real world that actually pulls on you to be typical? The fairy tale version of the advice that we're taught is to be yourself. That all the pain stops as soon as you allow your distinctiveness to shine. It actually takes continual effort, renewal. It's not easy or free, but I'm here to tell you it's worth it. So I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes on how I've created my own brand of distinction. It's called Create Your Legend. Legend in the most humble sense of the word. In a sense, what distinction are you ready to be famous for? My objective today is to inspire each of you to do the same through telling you my life journey. So my adult life started with a dream. This is me as a junior at Texas A&M, circa 1989, with way more hair and intimidating opponents on the basketball court with my swatch. That year, I got serious about figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. I sat down with a career counselor named Dr. Laura Arf, now retired, and she asked me two simple questions that changed the entire course of my life, and it's, looking back, the best advice anybody's ever given me. The first question: what classes do you excel in the most that you're interested in? Marketing, because I'm fascinated by the art and science of connecting consumers and products, although I didn't say it that eloquently at the time. The second: what are you passionate about outside the classroom more than anything else in life? Sports, because that's all I did growing up in a small town. I played every sport. I've collected every Sports Illustrated since 1980, when I got my first subscription when I was 12, still collect them. I'm a total sports junkie. Anybody see LeBron's shot last night? Yeah. Crazy. I know Jalen did. So she said, you should combine those two things, marketing and sports. She had just given me the distinctive building blocks for creating career happiness, combining something that I loved with something I thought I could be good at, kickstarting my unique journey before there was even such a thing as a sports marketing degree. This quote summarizes the next 7 years. So later in 1989, this Sports Illustrated landed in my mailbox over at the MLC. The cover story was an excerpt from the book Just Do It, an inside look at the secret sauce behind my favorite brand, Nike. When I read it, I knew instantly that is the company that I will work for one day. The challenge: how do I get there from College Station, Texas? It wasn't typical to find jobs outside the Career Center, much less leave the great state of Texas. But this was my dream and no one else's, so I began to fiercely own it. So I started by researching the company in depth. Every article, every press release, every annual report, every class project, I did it on Nike. I became kind of an obsessed Nike stalker maniac. When I thought I knew everything about Nike there was to know, I tried getting a job when I graduated in 1991, but like now, it was a tough job market. Persian Gulf War was in full swing. And beyond that, Nike wasn't interested in a former high school level tennis player from El Paso, Texas, where I moved from a small town in Indiana, with no sports industry experience. So I tried every single sporting goods manufacturer, every single retailer, every single professional sports team, including hockey, which I'm not even passionate about, and college athletic department. Instead, I got a bunch of this. Bunch of this. Maybe a bunch of that. We're used to technical difficulties with Zoom over this last year, aren't we? There we go. So I got a bunch of that. Rejection. I still have a stack of rejection letters this thick. Knowing that moving in with my parents wasn't an option for them or for me, I got a job with Neiman Marcus, as Jalen said, as an assistant buyer of designer suits that I couldn't afford to buy myself with my $29,000 a year salary. But out of that experience, I gained some key ingredients: foundational training, consumer, and apparel. There it is. Just get past this part. After 2 years, I parlayed that into what may be heresy in this room. But at the time, A&M MS Marketing wasn't even on the radar. So instead, I went up the road and got a top 20 MBA from University of Texas in Austin. I spent 2 years gaining more key ingredients, doubling down on marketing and building my network inside Nike. Literally cold calling people who were mentioned in articles, interviewing them, and asking for 3 more names. We didn't have LinkedIn back then, so that's how you did it. I tried again with Nike when I graduated in 1995. They still weren't interested. So I took a job with the next best thing, of course, assistant brand manager with Kraft Macaroni and Cheese. I led the launch of Rugrats, cartoon-shaped pasta for kids. From that, a final ingredient, I learned how to quarterback a cross-functional team through the development and launch of a product. By now, I was networking like mad. I was sending everybody at Nike that I knew free macaroni and cheese coupons. Maybe it was the coupons that did the trick, but it led to an interview at Nike World Headquarters and eventually to a job offer when I was vacationing with friends in Mexico. This is me that night. I don't remember much after this story. I've had a bad relationship with tequila ever since that night. So there's 2 things I want you to take away from all that. The first, anyone who has ever been successful in creating distinction has failed over and over and over again. Because ultimately in business and in life, there is no breakthrough creativity and innovation without failure. It's just part of it. It takes a lot of courage to do something bold and distinctive. You'll get your ass kicked. You'll become good friends with failure, disappointment, setback, and heartbreak. But doesn't success taste so much sweeter after all the failures leading up to it? Second key takeaway is this. Loving the company you work for and your job should be a human right and not a privilege. Yet saying, I love my job is a true distinction in this country because unfortunately most people don't. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But don't let it be because you let small minds convince you that your dreams are too big. We should all get to work in a place where it feels bigger than ourselves, where we continuously learn and feel alive, where we feel safe to bring our authentic selves to work, and where we love and admire our teammates. That place for me was Nike. This is a photo of my proud dad and I by what we call Lake Nike at World Headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, back in 1996. I didn't know it then, but this quote summarizes what unfolded during the next 24 years. It's something I now encourage all of you to do. Embrace your own discomfort because when you do, it always leads to personal growth. The pattern that emerged during my Nike career was one that consisted of blazing new trails versus maintaining what was already established. Things like starting up a new business, resetting a business that had gone off the rails, or being the first one to define a brand new role. All of those things required leaning into discomfort. So as Jalen mentioned, my career began as an assistant product line manager in Nike Team Sports Apparel. It was a new role in a new division of Nike, dedicated to outfitting professional and collegiate teams across a variety of sports. I was absolutely giddy that I was the one who got to touch and feel the real NBA and NCAA basketball apparel samples we created before any athletes, before any coaches, before any consumers did. From there, I was rewarded with opportunities that, in total, amount to an embarrassment of riches. I always thought of my various roles as property of Nike that the company was lending to me. And it was my responsibility to serve them with honor and privilege as a faithful steward of the best brand in the world. Those honors and privileges included being drafted to the team that set up the Jordan brand, which is now over $3 billion in revenue, working directly with Michael Jordan to launch and build Jordan apparel during the peak of his popularity. Moving to Guadalajara, Mexico to help turn the apparel business around, culminating with the iconic Nike Mexico national kit design that you see there for World Cup 2006, but more importantly, a life-changing cultural experience for my family, who you'll get to hear more about in a little bit. Returning to World Headquarters to launch Nike Basketball's system of dress uniform concept. on 4 NCAA teams during March Madness, serendipitously culminating in 2 of them, Florida and Ohio State, making it to the NCAA championship at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, which I got to attend. Being appointed to a general manager role in order to lead and launch a new lifestyle apparel sub-brand in the US called Nike Sportswear. Establishing Nike Apparel Center of Excellence internal agency model for creation of global t-shirts and headwear. Figuring out the best way to partner with all the category teams from running to basketball to soccer to sportswear to all of them so that they could focus on creating the best performance and lifestyle apparel for athletes. Taking an eventful 4-year sojourn to North America merchandising, helping to shape this brand new function at Nike, and where I was awarded the first of 3 different vice president roles. And finally, returning to my ultimate home in global apparel and accessories to launch the brand new reimagined Nike Sock Company with a team of amazing underdogs. Throughout every single one of those experiences, Nike showered me with gifts that will last a lifetime. They are gifts that shaped me into the person I am today and have made me a better husband, father, brother, son, and friend. One of those was the gift of self-discovery, of learning what I was capable of when trusted, empowered, supported, and coached along the way. And where constructive feedback was a gift versus a penalty. In effect, the gift of being led by transformational servant leaders who paid it forward from leaders they learned from. Leaders who led with a balance of head and heart, who created an amazing journey to the result versus just focusing on the result itself. Leaders who invested in team and culture and who showed up with their whole beings to set the tone for their teams. Authentic, vulnerable, humane, and wholehearted. Leaders who treated mistakes as opportunities to learn. Leaders who listened more than they talked. Imagine that. Leaders who leveraged the business as a platform to highlight the great work of others to help them get to where they wanted to go. Leaders who encourage priorities like family, self-care, and athlete time vacations to recharge and show up ready to go. Leaders who inspired, motivated, and created a sense of inclusion and belonging with every voice heard, with a focus on diversity before it even became a movement. Distinctive business and culture leaders like the one that I eventually became, but one that I never aspired to back in 1996 because I was just overwhelmingly happy with sorting samples with a swoosh. Few takeaways from all that. The first, and this was a huge revelation for me. When you take on new roles, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. When I became a VP for the first time, I was putting a ton of pressure on myself to come up with that breakthrough idea, to give the most articulate update in the staff meeting, or provide that golden nugget of advice that would instantly solve someone's problem. So I embraced my own discomfort, I leaned into it and asked for help from a trusted confidant. We talked about how we've come to equate success with not needing anyone, about how so many of us are willing to extend a helping hand, but we're reluctant to reach out for help when we need it ourselves because we believe it's a sign of weakness, especially in male corporate culture. I hate to say it. But in truth, it's a distinct sign of strength because it takes courage. The second closely related key takeaway is this, the concept of vulnerability. My trusted confidant turned me on to Brene Brown, another great Texan, and her now infamous TED Talk, and it completely shifted how I led teams from that point on. I came to realize leadership was really about assembling the right kind of talent, about asking the right questions versus providing the right answers, about really hearing and synthesizing their answers in order to unlock their already inherent greatness, about showing up your authentic self even when you can't predict or control the outcome, and about creating a culture of learning versus a culture of knowing. I found out over time that this ability to get the best out of people, to create followership, and ultimately joy and happiness across large, multifaceted teams was my distinctive skill. I might not have been perfect at all of that, but I was certainly better at it than knowing all the answers. So we're gonna go way, way back. This is me as a baby. And it's funny how sometimes the later in life you get, the amount of hair you have approaches what you started with. I share that picture because I've always been taught that happiness was a choice, no matter what the circumstances. When I was bored as a kid, my mom would say, just go find something to do other than turning on the TV, please. My dad was even more pointed and smart aleck and would say something like, maybe you should just go play on the freeway. In their own ways, my parents taught me how to create happiness for myself. The reason that's important is that this mindset was put to the test last July, when after 24 years, my epic Nike career ended somewhat unceremoniously with, yes, a Zoom call. Nike was not immune from the pandemic and went through a massive corporate restructuring and cost-cutting exercise that started with the elimination of over 100 vice presidents, of which I was one, and the eventual elimination of about 1,000 roles. I was left without a chair to sit in when the music stopped playing, something I later learned happens to most workers at least once in their career. The first thing I thought about was my family, so I'll tell you a little bit about them right now. I have a beautiful wife and best friend of 28 years named Selena, also an Aggie, and she's sitting in the audience right now. We met the first day of our junior year, which turned out to be a critical year for me. I figured out what I wanted to do with my life and who I wanted to spend the rest of it with. And I made two very, very good choices. Here is a picture taken of us in my Hart Hall dorm room before going to a dance, and you'll note the Andre Agassi Nike poster in the background. Not sure who had more hair at the time, Selena or Andre. And these are my amazing daughters, both attending the University of Washington in Seattle. Now that we've all survived the teenage girl years, and the aliens who had temporarily invaded their bodies have now vacated the premises. Our advice to them about college is that it's a time when they should be discovering and deepening their passions and figuring out how to connect them to a purpose. Veronica, who is on the left, is a junior, and she's studying communications with minors in visual arts and business. She's passionate about storytelling through video, photography, and writing, and she's a video intern for the UW football team, proud dad, as well as a staff writer for the UW Daily newspaper, just as her mother was for the battalion back in the day. Marissa, who's on the right, is a freshman that's studying psychology and diversity, and she's searching for a nonprofit social justice internship where she can begin to explore different pathways to her passions. So I thought, how distinctly fortunate am I? That's what I thought on that Zoom call last July. How distinctly fortunate am I, not only for the epic career journey and all of the experiences and memories that went along with it, but also for the incredibly close family that I still have today. So let's just put it all in perspective, right? And so when I was asked if I wanted to share any thoughts as I closed out that Zoom call, I simply said, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. I wanted to signal to my family that it's not what happens to you that defines you, it's how you respond to what happens to you that defines you. Don't get me wrong, there was definitely a range of emotion. There were tears shared with all my teammates. There was definitely a very strong what in the F was Nike thinking. But after I gave myself some time to process all of that, I chose to center my focus not on what I lost, but what I had gained along the way. And I decided in that moment that I never want to work for another big corporation again, because in my mind, I had already achieved my dream of working for the best one out there. Anything else would be a step down. And finally, I decided that what was Nike's loss was my gain. A whole world was out there waiting for me. I'll explain this picture in a minute. So what's next? Well, I'm in the enviable position of never having to work again after working so hard all those years at Nike and being a part of the team that grew revenue from $6 billion in 1996 to over $43 billion during that time. Interestingly, as a 52-year-old male head of the household taxpayer, the world right now is actually pulling on me still to be typical, to leverage my VP title at Nike into an even bigger title with a bigger salary, with more prestige. But honestly, why would I want all that stress? Again, I don't want to be typical, I want to be distinctive. I want to set my own rules so I don't have to heed anyone else's. So I'm heading in the opposite direction as many of my former coworkers who have already landed those big, high-paying roles. My biggest goal, honestly, this is probably impossible, is the complete elimination of any stress in my life. One way I'll do that is by being healthy and active through daily engagement with my lifelong passion, sports and fitness. Another is to let the universe put opportunities in front of me instead of attempting to bend the universe my direction as I've done throughout my entire adult life. I'm still learning how to do that, to just kind of go into some of my days without having a totally structured plan, to just be and to go where life takes me more spontaneously, to travel, to collect experiences and memories and not things, to live distinctively and ethically. An opportunity that has already presented itself to me is an amazing organization I've just joined called Oregon Sports Angels, hence the photo. It's based in Portland, Oregon, and it's an angel investor network for sports industry startups. So think Shark Tank for sports. It turns out there's a whole world outside of Nike that I can continue to learn and grow from with fascinating, smart people doing fascinating, smart things. I have no idea where this adventure will take me, but I'm sure excited to find out. I've also fully embraced a give back mindset, which, to be completely honest, is a big part of the reason I'm here today. That, and because the universe, in the form of Lisa Burton, put the opportunity in front of me. Thanks, Lisa. I've discovered through my life journey to date that one of my distinctive gifts is helping young people and young companies achieve their dreams, their happiness. So toward that end, I've joined multiple advisory boards, as Jalen discussed, including this one here, another one at the University of Oregon, and a board of directors at Portland Tennis and Education, a sport that I'm super passionate about. And finally, I've started an endowed scholarship at Texas A&M that hopefully makes it a bit easier than the 7 years it took me to break into the sports industry. And I'm very happy to announce that the first winner of that scholarship is here with us today. He's an incoming MS marketing student, and his name is Luke Rogers. So as I close this out, it was an honor and a privilege speaking to all of you today. If you have jobs, congratulations. If you don't, congratulations. You've already demonstrated that you don't have to be typical. Either way, I hope it's a step toward achieving your dreams, toward finding happiness versus security, and finding your own unique distinction in life. Along the way, remember to embrace failure, discomfort, and vulnerability, all with a heavy dose of positivity, and everything's going to turn out just great. So in short, enjoy the journey while you're in it, because you only get to do it once. And if you do it right, once should be enough. Congratulations, gig 'em.
I think this is still on. Yes, it is. I'm usually a loudspeaker, so I don't need a microphone anyway, but I won't yell today. So if the graduates would please line up, this is our time to honor all of you in alphabetical order by last name. I just want to say it's been an absolute honor to work with all the students this past year. I keep threatening, they broke my rules and I said, you're gonna get an empty tube at graduation. Well, they are gonna get an empty tube at graduation. So, but I don't think I can stop them from leaving at this point. So we're just very, very proud of them. Their perseverance throughout all of the challenges of this past year has just been amazing. And as a graduate of this program, and now the director of this program, it's absolutely the honor of my life to get to see these young people go. I said I wouldn't get emotions. I'm just gonna start reading names. So I have a little trail, just follow the trail. And we have a wonderful photographer who'll be taking some pictures. I'm gonna start this. Jordan Barrett. Rachel Bryant. Maria Cage. Angelica Casperholm. Bryce Deadman. Ryan Dobos. Hannah Ivey. Madison, England. Courtney Fong Cutchins. Andrew Foote. Tabitha Gilpin. Jalen Hall. Addison Holcomb. Spencer Horn. Spencer. Picture. You don't want my picture, so. Yeah, that's right. He is leaving. He's out the door. Benji Johnson. Kaylee Conan. Jessica Lewis. Allie Lippincott. Ty Longmire Munford. Haley Marcos. Connor Mason. Nicole Mayer. Evan Meenan. Lauren Middleton. Haley Mutzenbacher. Hannah Mullinix. Veru Mularova. Jeanette Nunley. Shannon Perkins. Alex Perry. Madison Pratt. Ruben Rodriguez III. Kyle Romeline. Kelly Savage. Chris Scoggins. Colton Shorman. Sully Strohmeyer. Logan Taylor. Summer Thorpe. Michaela Tinsay. Really Toomer. Laura Trevino. Elia Ray Gomez.
Last speaker is the worst for a lot of reasons, right? I stand between you and whatever's next as we move on to the next ceremony. And it's hard to have the right words to say after you've heard so many inspiring words. I do want to add my thank you to all of you for supporting your students and for trusting us with them. My congratulations to the students as you move on to your next steps. Graduation ceremonies are really, really special events. You hear so many words of wisdom, so many success stories, so many nuggets and tidbits that will help you going forward. You are all so well poised for success. The beautiful thing about it is you get to decide what that means for you. You have so many opportunities in front of you. The Aggie Network will be here to support you. We want you to stay connected to us, and we wish you nothing but the best. Congratulations.
Goodbye to Texas University. So long to the orange and the white. Good luck to dear old Texas Aggies. They are the ones who show the real old fight. The eyes of Texas are up on you. That is the song they sing so well. Sounds like hell. Goodbye to Texas University. We're gonna beat you all to jigger-to-run, cross up, go stop, Texas A&M. Goodbye to Texas University. So long to the orange and the white. Goodbye to dear old Texas Aggies. They are the ones who show the real old fight. The eyes of Texas are upon you. That is the song they sing so well. Sounds like hell.
Nope. Right. Oh, right.
That's where we
Right. Right. you're on the.
Whenever you're gonna say like, I have.
Good luck.
Okay,